When Cupra first launched their first electric car, the Cupra Born, it was based on the Volkswagen ID3 with some slightly sportier styling and just a tiny bit more power. And at the time that that car was launched, it was difficult to understand where Cupra saw themselves within the car industry. Were they trying to be a sportier version of Volkswagen, or were they trying to be their own brand? Well, move forward a few years since the Born has been on sale, and they're set to launch their next electric car. And I think this car proves that they're setting themselves aside from the rest of the brands. They want to stand out as their own thing, and they're doing it with this. This is the Cupra Tavascan, a larger electric vehicle with more performance and more range than the Born. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to my channel Auto Social UK. In today's video you join me in Barcelona, the home of the Cupra Tavascan. Well, I'll be taking a look at this new electric car and telling you everything you need to know. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching, and if you like new car reviews and car content, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now, this isn't actually the first time that I've seen this car. I got to see it in a studio and I filmed it for Electroheads, and it was love at first sight. I loved the look of this car, and it's still the same to today. It looks brilliant out on the roads. It has a very sharp presence on the road. Now, one of my favourite things is just here on the bonnet. You've got these fantastic dents in the bonnet and a little bit of overhang. It gives it a really sporty feel. There's not actually any practicality to those vents, but it does give it that sporty feeling. Of course, you've got the great big Cupra badge on the top of the car, and then you've got these new lighting signatures. So you've got these 3 triangle lights, and these are going to feature across all of the Cupra cars, but they're first showcased on this. This is the Cupra Tavascan, and let me know, what do you think of this car? Do you like the styling, or do you think it's a bit much?
But looking at this car in the daytime just doesn't do it full justice. It's at night that the Tavascan truly shines. This car features an impressive illumination sequence in which the Cupra badge lights up, followed by ambient lighting under the bonnet, and finally illuminating the headlamps, and not forgetting some tasteful puddle lights.
So what about the interior? This is an area which, when I first saw this car in the studio, it took my breath away. It's actually quite daring in its design because you've got this central spine down the middle. Now, I keep calling this the wishbone, and Amelia Automotive tells me off because they're calling it a central spine. But either way, I think it's quite a cool element. There's only one problem to this. It's very plasticky. And that is an overwhelming problem in the interior of this car. It's very cool, it's very dynamic, there's a lot going on, lots of layers, but it is quite plasticky. And I feel like if you're young and if you like things that are fashionable, this is going to be for you, but it's not the plushest product on the market. And I think some of the Chinese car makers are showing brands like the Volkswagen Group up. But overall, I do like it. It's hugely cohesive to the Cupra brand. These bucketed seats are my favourite. I always love Cupra seats. You've got the blue Alcantara with the flecks of copper, the copper element in the middle, and the copper stitching. It really is lovely, along with the steering wheel as well, but there is a controversial element here too. I love Cupra steering wheels. So you've got the big Cupra badge, the copper stitching, you've got the 2 drive mode buttons here, which we'll talk more about when I drive it, but here's the issue: haptic buttons. And interestingly, I've seen a few products that have come out of the Volkswagen Group recently, and they've moved away from doing haptic buttons, and on some of their cars they've adjusted those haptic buttons so that you don't accidentally press things. This doesn't do that. You accidentally press it all the time when you're driving, and that's a real shame, and I think it's going to be a big issue. You do adjust the way that you drive, but why should you need to do that? It just feels a little bit backdated. The ambient lighting is also super cool in this car, which I'll talk about once again when I get to drive it at night. I can't wait to show you. But the last thing that we have to cover is this whacking great touchscreen. This is huge. So similar to the ones that I've tested in the Tiguan, this is the 15-inch screen. So this is actually an upgrade if you go for the Tiguan, but in here you get it as standard. Huge, everything is on there, which I know not everybody likes because all your climate control is on there. But you do have the sliders along the bottom that are backlit, so that's something that they have done over some of the Volkswagen cars. This car is not going to be for everyone, but I don't think they're trying to appeal to everyone. So all versions of the Tavascan get the same 77 kilowatt hour battery, and then you have the option of either having two-wheel or all-wheel drive.
The good news is actually both versions are pretty nippy and rangy too. The rear-wheel drive car will have 210 kilowatts or 286 PS, and the WLTP claimed range is 353 miles. The 0 to 62 time of this car is a respectable 6.8 seconds. It will be the most affordable version too, with prices starting from £47,300. However, it does have to be noted that this entry-level model, named the Endurance, will lack the plusher interior, ambient lighting or heated seats, all of which can be added with packs. The all-wheel drive model that I've been driving is the Tavascan VZ. This will be the spicy model with 250 kilowatts or 340 PS, and it trims the 0 to 62 time to 5.5 seconds. Range is only slightly affected and falls to 324 miles. There are no official prices for this model just yet, but it gets an immersive pack as standard, which includes larger 20-inch alloy wheels, the dark night interior that's featured here, ambient lighting and the new Sennheiser sound system. It does also have to be noted that whilst it hasn't been proven to be essential in gaining lots of extra range, Cupra has made the decision to make a heat pump optional, alongside heated rear seats and a heated windscreen on all versions.
In terms of performance, I've been really impressed. This is a quick car, although it's also very heavy. This thing weighs 2.2 tonnes. Although I do think that they have put a lot of effort into the engineering when it comes to driving this car. The steering is really well weighted and it does feel quite sharp in its handling.
The Tavascan is equipped with front McPherson struts and advanced multi-link rear design that's been finely tuned. This ensures that the vehicle offers a smooth and intuitive response to steering inputs, whether you're driving at high speeds on motorways or navigating through smaller technical roads. Part of the reason why that steering feels so engaging is the Cupra Tavascan is equipped with progressive steering. This gives the driver complete control over the vehicle, ensuring that the SUV coupe feels secure in any driving condition.
The one thing that I've been struggling with, however, is the brakes. It's a slightly weird braking setup. The brakes are very spongy, you get nothing for a while and then suddenly you get all the braking power at once. To change the regenerative braking, you've got paddles behind the steering wheel. And there's 3 levels of regenerative braking on the steering wheel. And then you have a further braking mode, which you can just twist this gear selector and that will put you in B.
B mode is essentially the strongest mode available. However, it still can't exactly be described as a one-pedal drive. And when it's activated, the paddles no longer adapt the levels.
Cupra always express themselves with their alloy wheels, and on the Tavascan it's no different story. You've got the 21-inch updated alloys here that come with the adrenaline pack. Now these are actually the largest alloys you can get. They start with 19s, you get a pack to get 20s, and then these which are 21s. They look fantastic. It does make me wonder if this car would look as aggressive on 19-inch alloys. All of them come in some pretty jazzy designs, and of course it's featuring that classic Cupra copper. Tavascan has fallen into the SUV coupe trap. They're all the rage, don't you know? But that's actually a benefit when it comes to an EV because it gives it a more aerodynamic stance and you're going to get more range. Definitely a plus. And the good thing about the Tavascan is it's large enough to not compromise that rear headroom, which is important. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But the rear design, I'm conflicted. I don't quite like it as much as I do the front. It does have that real Cupra presence because of the rear light bar, and once again you've got those almost triangular clusters in there. It looks very striking. I also love the light up Cupra badge as well. But personally it's just a little bit too simple. You do have a slightly more aggressive bottom gloss black diffuser, but it's not quite as handsome as the front of the car, and I don't really like how it rakes off in quite a flat shape. In fact, the designer was saying that he wanted a fully light up spoiler, which would have been really cool. But what about boot space? Well, inside the boot you get a reasonable amount of space.
Inside here you'll find 540 litres, which is quite a bit more than something like the Nissan Ariya with up to 466.
So as I mentioned, despite having a coupe roofline, there is quite a lot of headroom. It's not really compromised at all. Even when you put your head back, there's still plenty of room. There's also loads of leg room as well. Like I said, I was really surprised by the size of this car. I thought it was going to be more compact, but actually it's a very decent family-sized vehicle, which would happily sit 3 large adults in the back. Amenities is pretty decent. You've got a couple of pockets behind the doors, although nowhere to put your mobile phone. You've got 2 USB-C chargers, and you've got a pull-out armrest with a few cup holders, and also through loading. Now, through loading is getting more and more rare nowadays, so I'm really pleased to see that you still have that, as that adds to the practicality of this being a family car. The only thing that is missing in the back here is, I guess, any thoughtful touches, for instance like we've seen on the new Tiguan or on some of the new Renault products when you've got a pull-out iPad holder or something like that. Just because it is so big in here, it's a proper family car, so it'd be nice if it was slightly more tailored to family life.
So maybe you're wondering, what makes the Tavascan so special compared to, say, a Volkswagen ID5? And for me, it was this, the interior lighting at night. This is where the car truly felt special. You can change the colours via the central touchscreen, in which there are many customisable combinations. Thanks to the car's dynamic curves and layers within the cabin, this projects coloured light throughout, whilst illuminating the flex in the door cards. Driving the Tavascan amongst the busy streets of Barcelona at night was a real pleasure.
I feel conflicted as to how I feel about the Cupra Tavascan. I really like its styling. It's a very striking electric car, but it feels a little bit like old Volkswagen technology dressed up to look like a new car. And I think with those pricings starting from around £47,000, that's pretty good for the package that's on offer, but that doesn't really include a lot. Once you start adding the cool seats, the cool interior lighting, and lots of additional extras, including that heat pump, it's then going to become a very expensive car. But I do think it makes a statement, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people out there. But let me know, what do you think of the Cupra Tavascan? Let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Until next time, guys, see you later.